Hey, everybody, welcome to Grilling at the Green. I'm Jeff, as you probably know that. And this show is heard all over the Northwest, a couple other spots around the country, and on Golf News Network. How's your game? I ask you that every week. I don't get too many replies, though, because nobody's ever happy with it. Um, Brought our old buddy Gary Van Sickle back today because I wanted to talk about the Masters. Masters is over. Rory broke the monkey on his back or whatever you call it. Uh, but I think there was some interesting things that went on there. So anyway, Gary, welcome back, bud.
Well, thanks. You're the first guy who's ever said Rory broke his monkey. So I think that should have been the lead of my story, damn it. Jeez. Why didn't
You
I
can,
think of that?
you can use it next year or something.
The Brits have a saying he broke his duck, meaning he got his first win or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you combine that with the monkey off his back. So it's kind of like another popular mixed metaphor is, well, this isn't rocket surgery. So
Yes,
I
exactly.
think that's actually better than the other one. So I like he broke his monkey. I like that. Look, the Masters was fun because I thought Saturday was like the best Saturday ever at the Masters. It was great. So much stuff happened. And then after Sunday, which was so much stuff happened, I couldn't remember what happened on Saturday by the time Sunday was over.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would like to go back and watch Saturday and Sunday all over again because I mean, I was drained at the end of both of those rounds, and I wasn't even playing. I don't know about you.
I I have this little routine. The first couple days of the Masters, I watch a little bit of it and I catch the recaps at night. But on Saturday and Sunday, I pretty much from 11 o'clock our time till whenever it ends, I'm in the living room, big screen, beverages, whatever. And
Well, beverages, not you.
yeah. So anyway, that's what I do. And like you said, I was like, by the end of Saturday, I was like, what just happened?
Saturday was great, but honestly, for the life of me, I can't remember why anymore because Sunday was even better and more tense.
I think it was um to me we saw an old guy, if you will, Justin Rose. He's not old like you and I are, but for the pro tour, he's one of the elder statesmen now. You saw him put some moves on Saturday and Sunday. You saw Bryson, who was trying to create his own version of Arnie's Army out there. He was slipping. Don't wish the guy any ill will. He was just slipping. You saw other guys. All of a sudden, Patrick Reed kind of jumps up in the mix there, and
Yeah,
like,
that would have been a surprise ending that
yeah,
I don't think anybody was rooting for. But yeah, a lot of guys had a chance to win on Sunday, and it was just fun. It was tense. I mean, I think I probably used this in my story, but Rory was the first guy to ever open his round on the Masters on the third round with six straight threes. And on the back nine Sunday, he pulled off four Mongolian reversals. You know, he hits a shot. Oh, he's won it now. Then the next hole, oh, he just lost it back. Then, oh,
right.
he won it again. No, he lost it back. Well, I mean, four times. I wasn't sure he was going to make that last two-footer for the win. I was fully expecting him to miss that and then lose in the playoff. And then, gosh, that would have been no fun. That would have been the end. He might have had to retire from golf if he didn't win that one.
You know what I like, Gary, though, at the very end, after the playoff was over and stuff, talk about breaking the monkey. When he kind of just collapsed, I don't want to say he collapsed, but he got down on his knees. And I don't think he was crying. I think he was just letting out all the years of being never making it, never getting the slam, never doing this, always the questioning, blah blah blah. And I think it's just like you could almost see him elevate himself about 2 feet off the
Yeah, it was
ground.
really well. It was similar to Crenshaw in '95, who did cry because he just lost his mentor, Harvey Pennick,
Yeah.
and he'd been playing like crap up until a few days before, and it just came out of nowhere. And Rory has been playing great all year. A lot of people thought he really was the favorite. A lot of people said it was his tournament to lose, and that kind of wound up being the case. And he did everything he could to lose it, but he also did everything he could to win it. And it's a good thing it didn't go another hole because I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah, but again, I will give Justin Rose credit.
I felt
He,
bad for him. Yeah.
yeah, but he's a warrior. I've always liked Justin Rose.
I loved that he had that putt on 16 and he just had this steely look. He set his jaw.
Yeah,
I can't even describe it. Sort of like John Wayne in a gunfight. And he makes the putt and on in the same in the on that 72nd hole. That was maybe the best moment besides Rory's emotional display, but the best moment of the tournament was him pouring that putt in
yeah,
from 15, 20 feet to tie Rory. He set his jaw before. I mean, I would love to watch that again too, because that was just determination. I'm not giving this thing away. And it coincides this week. I did a story on the best players to never win a Masters, and I limited it to you had to have won at least one major somewhere. So sorry, Monty, you didn't make the list. But uh, the guys who've been up there, who've been major contenders, who've won a major. So I think Rose has had so many close calls. I think I put him fifth. The obvious one on my list, obviously Lee Trevino. He won 29 tour events. He won six. I think he won the other majors three times each, six or two times each, six majors. The Masters, he got in his head right away between feeling unwanted as a Mexican American,
right,
and then I mean I don't know if this story is true, and maybe you've heard it too, but Trevino, like maybe his first or second Masters, was paired with Palmer, and on the second hole, Palmer drives it in the fairway bunker on the par five. So Arnie hits his shot out of the fairway bunker and leaves it in the bunker. And he slams his club down in disgust and just hits the sand. Well, at that time, the rule was that's a penalty. You can't do that when your
you
ball's
can't
still in the
touch the
bunker.
sand. Yeah,
Well, the rules guys at Augusta got together and decided, well, he wasn't trying to improve his lie. Didn't affect his next shot. No penalty. So that just added to Trevino's they're out to get me. I don't have a chance. They'll never let,
right.
so I mean he said later, I mean years later, he said many times he regrets he could have won the Masters. He said, I know it's a course for a high draw player and I'm a low ball and a fader, but this guy had all the shots he could have won, and he said that anyways. So if you're really bored, you can find that story somewhere on the internet, probably thefirstcall.com, I think it was this week, and Substack. But yeah, I had to throw Justin Rose in there. One guy left out, probably should have had I had on there. I probably should have had Tom Kite in there. But it's hard to find 10. I went back and got some older Lloyd Mangrum held
Yeah,
the course record of 64 for almost 50 years until Nick Price broke it. Um, Gene Littler, a few Lanny Watkins, a few other guys. Brooks Koepka is on there, but no Monty. You have to win a major, no Monty.
yeah. No money, no money. Before we go to break, the one thing I was kind of actually rooting for him. I wanted Langer to make the cut. Just last time, his age, all that stuff. I'm a sentimental kind of guy at times, and I really wanted him just to make the cut. He didn't. That's okay.
Well, he had a putt, and it was, what was it, a 4 or 5 footer? And of course, it lipped out.
Yeah,
His career in a nutshell, right there. The putter, he played great. He should have made it, but
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that would have been a great story. And it was nice. This guy's never really gotten the media attention because he talks in the monotone. He's the only guy. I used to say about Retief Goosen, he was the only guy who could make being hit by lightning boring because he was pretty flat personality. But Langer just, yes, I was very excited. I've won the second Masters twice now, and it was a great feeling. And it's like he just doesn't have the charisma that to interest, not so much the media, but the public. The public was
right.
never like excited about him. And even when he broke the record on the senior tour, the public, I mean, they just never took to him. So I'm glad he got a nice send off courtesy of CBS, and Yeah, it would have been cool if he made it. He was pretty close.
Yeah, he was. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back with Gary Van Sickle in just a moment here on Grilling at the Green. Welcome back to Grilling at the Green. I'm JT. Today we're talking with our buddy Gary Van Sickle. Thank you a couple people real quick. We want to thank, of course, the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended, and also Birdie Ball. If you need a practice putting green, check out birdieball.com. Lots of choices, and be sure to get a dozen birdie balls to help with your practice routine. So we're talking with GVS here. I always look forward when you come on the show. I really do. I have a lot of fun with you, and that it's just you're a good guy to talk to like this, and I've always appreciated your insight. So I'm at
It's always great to be had by you.
there you go. That gets that monkey broke. So
Yeah, I broke my monkey the first when I came on the first time. Yeah,
there you go. There you go.
I got the duck off my back.
Yes, you
That looks
did.
not bad either, actually.
That's not bad either. So this is where we do a little travel tip sometimes in the show. And you've been to Augusta, 4,372 times or something like that. Um, so give the people watching and listening, what are a couple of things that you really need to take with you if you're going to go watch the Masters?
Well, if you've got tickets for a practice round, you need a digital camera because you can go in and take pictures all over the place, anywhere you want, but you can't take your phone in. So when they say, yeah, no phone, you can bring cameras, but no phones, people forget, oh yeah, you can have a separate camera.
Right.
And you just think of your phone as your camera now because that's how the world's changed. So you should go out and get a digital camera. And there's a people line up out in front of the clubhouse, that entryway. They have the logo and the flowers and the flag sticking out. And, it's like the
Yeah.
sign, the entrance to Las Vegas. There's a line to take pictures, take pictures of the range. I mean, the entire course. Um, I mean, everything's scenic. So my not so much something to bring with you, but one place to go. Obviously, people want to go to Amen Quarter, but I always tell people go to the 10th green. It's a 110-foot drop from the tee box. It looks like a ski run. And you stand down there by the 10th green. There's magnolia trees down there and dogwoods. And you look back up this huge hill and you're just kind of in awe. And you can just barely see the top of the clubhouse sticking out over this hill. And you just look at that hole and you're going, you got to be kidding me. This got to be a par five. It's just an awe-inspiring spot, more so than Amen Corner, because Amen Corner, the fans have to sit behind the tee box on 12, and that's as close as you can get to the green. And you don't get
Right.
in, that's as close as you get to the 13th tee. You're capped way away from that area, but the 10th green is a very cool spot. What else do you need to bring? Well, you need to bring a small purse if you're a lady because you can't take a big one in. Um, that's a good question. What else do you need to bring? I mean, the digital camera is a great tip because
Yeah,
you're
it
only going to be
is.
there once. You want to take pictures. And I did a story this year. I had a friend who got a 1-day pass to Berkman's Place, which is the super exclusive hospitality suite hidden behind the fifth hole. And a lot of times, Condoleezza Rice or somebody like her will be uh, Lynn Swan will be there in a green jacket greeting you on the way in. Those tickets are like 8 or 10 grand a piece for like your corporate party of 8 or 10. So he
Sure.
and his wife got in for 1 day. It was Monday, and they went there and they had driven up a couple hours from the area. Uh, so they hadn't had breakfast. So they went there. They had breakfast. They went shopping. Berkman's Place. This is insider info. They have the same logo as the Masters, except instead of the United States being colored yellow, it's just there's no color, it's just clear. So my buddy bought some hats, and the guy who they're working there said, if you wear that hat in the course, you're going to have people coming up to you going, "Where did you get that hat?" because the logo is a different. It's not the same. So it's a special Insider Berkman's Place hat. So they did that, and then by the time they got going, uh, they had the announcement about the storm and the rain. The course was evacuated, and they never got on the course was closed. I mean, they didn't have to evacuate Berkman's Place. All the people came back. He's over there doing the putting course. They're having a good time, and they hang out for a while. And eventually, at 1 or 2 in the afternoon, they announced the course is closed for the day. So the punchline to the story, which you can find at si.com, was, I waited 50 years to go to the Masters. I was 50 yards from the fifth fairway, and I never set foot in the course. I was that close.
Well, yeah.
So
What
yeah, Berkman's Place was. You need to know somebody, and
to get in there?
you need to know somebody who's a major executive of a major corporation who has passes for that. So he got in Berkman's Place, so I wrote about it anonymously. I changed his name. I changed he and his wife's name to Luke and Laura. I think was an old soap opera.
Is that General Hospital or one of those?
I just remember they were a big thing at once upon a time.
Yeah, they were.
Kind of like Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, only hotter.
That's true. That's
a
true.
dated reference that only you and I will get.
That I interviewed Roy Rogers.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was one of
Did
the
you
last.
talk golf or Cowboys or roast beef sandwiches?
We talked. Cowboys. We talked movies. We talked music. We talked a little hunting and fishing, which he loved to do. And here's the trick, Gary. He actually sang "Happy Trails" to me. That's no kidding. I've got the master of
Wow.
the interview, but you talk about kind of a guys of our era kind of getting a little shiver. It's like there's the king of the Cowboys singing to me. I was like, well, that's cool.
He seemed like one of those guys who what you saw on TV, that's him. That's him. He didn't even act. It's just him
Yeah,
doing whatever he did. If you saw him, it seemed like he'd be exactly the same. At least that's
yeah, he
how I
was. He was. He started out picking peaches and stuff. They weren't very well to do, but he could sing and found
did
it.
he have his horse Trigger stuffed?
Yes,
I thought
yes.
he did.
There were actually two triggers, but the first one, you can see the first. Here's a little trivia for you folks. The first, if you ever watched the Errol Flynn Robin Hood, and one of his
That's a
men,
good movie, by the way.
it is, and I think Olivia de Havilland. Anyway, that's if you see the Palomino horse in there, that's the original trigger.
Oh,
And then a guy named Glenn Randall trained him, and then Roy came along, and they started doing movies and stuff, and then Trigger, and Roy connected, and that was the end of that story.
that's
So
one of the great pieces of trivia I've ever heard.
yeah, no, that's a
Trigger Trigger appeared in a different movie.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. How about that? Um, we got to take another break. Gary and I could talk trivia all day, I'm sure, but we're going to be back because I've got another little story I want to share with him and get his take on it. Anyway, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Grilling at the Green. We want to thank Weston Kia, #1 Kia dealership here in the Portland area. Is Weston Kia out in Gresham. You need a Kia. Actually, they do GMC and Buick too out there. Great, great friends, great people. Um, the local general manager for the OGA course, it was the Oregon Golf Association, which I live about 4 blocks from. Okay. He finally got drawn in the ticket lottery for Augusta.
Wow.
He did. I mean, he said he'd been, I don't know how old Ryan is, but let's just say he's in his mid 40s. And he said he'd been putting in for the lottery since he was 18. So he finally got the ticket. He flew down on Saturday night or Sunday, I mean, and then Monday it rained out. So he got to go out there a little bit on Tuesday, and then he had to come home on Wednesday. So I haven't talked to him yet, but I was really rooting for him to have a great time. But they got booted from the course on Monday, like you said, from the rain. So
Like around 11:30, everybody
yeah,
was out, and then
yeah,
yeah, that was it. It turned out.
yeah. So I kind of, in a way, I was really happy for him, but I was kind of kind of not upset, but I just felt bad for him to wait all that time and do all that and then finally get the draw and get there and then Mother Nature jacks with you. So, but it happens.
Well, and in addition, it messes up your shopping because he probably had 100 people said, "Hey, can you get me this or that with a
Yeah,
Masters logo?" Well, everybody who wanted to do shopping on Monday, who was coming back Tuesday, didn't get their shopping in. I bet the lines were. I don't even look at the line. I mean, I always have somebody who wants something. It's like
right,
I don't even want to have to go there, but the lines are Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are people who frequently only have a one or 2 day pass. So it's a lot. You wait to get into the store area to buy stuff, and then you go next door. They have a UPS shipping station, and the line for that is just as long. And they have all kinds of people working there. But it's really a great idea because you don't want to have to lug your stuff back to your parking lot or whatever. Just
right.
ship it home.
Yeah,
But I mean, to stand in line, you might stand in line for an hour to get into the store, and you're going to shop, and then you're going to stand in line another half an hour or more to ship your stuff home. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is not the time to go shopping. And then Thursday, you have the people come in who have the patrons who have this tournament badges Thursday through Sunday. And Thursday, this is their first day there, a lot of them. So they're in there buying stuff. Thursday's not a great day to shop either unless you go really late. So then Friday is when I stopped in, by which time you know, it was decent and but some of the stuff they've run out of. Oh, that was the thing my buddy said about Berkman's Place. They pull in at 9 o'clock and they see all these people come leaving. And like, where are they going? And then look and it's like, oh, they're carrying stuff. And he's looking, it's like, he says, that guy's carrying a gnome under each arm. What is that? They were unaware of the whole gnome phenomenon. The Masters has a different kind of gnome every year, a garden gnome. And those things are like Cabbage Patch dolls or Tickle Me Elmo. They're in demand and they sell out right away and they're hard to get. I don't. He goes, he had never heard of that. He goes, gnomes, that doesn't seem like something the golf crowd would go for, but it's become a thing every year. And I was looking, and so on Friday they had a T-shirt, that green T-shirt in the back. It had a gnome on the back carrying golf clubs, and I don't know what it said, Masters 2025, whatever. I was going to buy a couple of those for my niece or my daughter-in-law, sorry, who they were able to come with me 2 years ago when I attended my 40th Masters.
right.
They gave me tickets, passes for my family, which was incredibly nice. And they had a great time. So now, even though she's not a golfer, she loves master stuff. So I was going to get her that, but that you have it at medium? Nope. How about large? Nope. How about nope? Okay. Even the T-shirt with a gnome was gone by Friday. So
Oh, yes.
if you
Yeah.
want something match, I don't. You can't create something like that. It's just why did the gnome catch on? I don't get it, but it did.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Um,
I mean, what I'd have to replace my lawn orb or those flamingos. What am I going to do with a gnome in my front
uh,
yard?
gnomes scare flamingos, if you don't know that. They scare the hell
Well,
out of
that
them.
could be, and maybe it's a scarecrow. But
Yeah.
yeah, the lawn orb. You haven't lived until you're in the suburbs. You got one of those big lawn orbs. Those are. I'm
Oh,
not sure
yeah.
before, but those were a thing for a long time.
So I got a question for you. Um, Fred Ridley, is he as kind of demure and stuff in real life as he's always so composed on television? I know he's an attorney. I know he's, you don't know his people don't know all of his history, but very earned a lot of money, has done very good work on the outside, was the top amateur player. They used to drag him in to fill up foursomes or twosomes when they needed.
Be the score marker, be the
Yeah.
marker.
Yeah. And but I'm just curious. I've never talked to him. I'm just curious about him.
Well, even if he's talking to me, I'm a media guy, so he's still in chairman mode. So it does seem like he's stiff upper lip. silver spoon came from money, everything's perfect here kind of a guy. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe if you played cards with him or something, he'd let his hair down, but he does seem pretty reserved and low key. And, he does a nice job with the honorary starter ceremony on Thursday. Before, when Billy Payne did it, Billy Payne felt like he was the center of attention and star of the show and the ringmaster. And he talked and talked and did a lot of stuff and got in the way, in my opinion. Fred's there to let these guys get the attention, get out of the way. He's very succinct, and he does a great job of that. So I'm going to guess and say he's pretty low key all the time, but I can't say that I know that for a fact. I mean, if you're playing golf with him and he snap hooks one into a creek, does he slam a club down and say a cuss word? I don't know. It doesn't seem like it though.
Yeah. Well, I actually think that he, you know, there's a world of difference between him and what Billy Payne was. And it just comes across on television as like, this is the guy in my book that should be the chairman down
Yeah.
there. So just,
Billy Payne was loud and boisterous and aggressive, and that's how he got places. He has he knows how to turn on the Southern charm. While he's shaking your hand, he might be, also reaching around and emptying your wallet or something at the same time, but he does it so nicely that you let him. So that's how you do business in the South and become a business tycoon. He was very successful, but yeah, I like as the Masters tournament chairman that I've been through. I like Fred probably the most. I did like Jack Stevens from Arkansas, who had more money than God, as they say. I just remember somebody asked him a question in the Wednesday press conference, and Jack Stevens, in his talk very slowly, and goes, "Well, I can't answer that on account of I don't know." It was just hilarious the way he did it, and he meant that he didn't know the answer. So I thought he was good, but the story about him I'd heard was some new guy was a member, and these guys come down and stay for a couple days and play golf. They have dinner, they play cards in the evening, and they're playing like for quarters, whatever the card game is. And the new guy says, "Well, why don't we play for some real money?" And quarters, let's play for some real money. And Jack Stevens goes, "Well, tell me, Joe, what's your net worth?" And the guy's like, "Well, I'm worth 142 million." And Jack Stevens goes, "Well, excellent. Why don't we play for 142 million a hand?" And the guy got the message and goes, "Yeah, quarters are fine. Quarters are fine."
so you would know this. I heard a story in the past that they had a new member, which they get some here and there, and that this member, I think, was like a dentist from Atlanta, orthodontist, something like this. All right. So they had a meeting after the Masters, and it was kind of a review and all that. And the guy said, well, a number of people have told me, and I would agree that, and this is his first time, that we need a scoreboard out by 8 or whatever it was. And they said, okay, we'll take that under advice. They put the scoreboard in, but they sent him the bill.
Yeah.
Is that a true story?
Oh, I haven't heard that one, but I've heard that story about the National Golf Links out in Long Island. Uh, was that Golf Links or was it Pine Valley? Well, I think it's Golf Links. He said something like, "Why don't we have a halfway house or whatever?" And then they built that windmill or something, and they sent him the bill. Yeah, that's been done a few times. I know a guy in my area at Swickley Heights Country Club said we should have a back tee on this par five, the 17th hole, put it way back, and they go, "That's a good idea." So they built one and sent him the bill, and then he was like, "Yeah." It's kind of
Okay.
like a rule of thumb for the average person.
Right. We're
Whatever. organization you're, if you're at the PTA or anything, any parent meeting or anything, if you complain about something, you're going to wind up on the committee or a pres in charge of it. It's like you didn't sign up for that. You just want
Right.
to. It's better to shut up and then just complain about it on your own. Don't go to the meeting and say we should do this. Okay, you're on the committee in charge, and it's like, well, I didn't want that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of the same deal. Only here's the bill. Here's the new leaderboard. Thanks. They're like,
There
"Oh,"
you go.
but they know everybody at the Masters. One prerequisite to get in, I'm pretty sure, is you have to be fairly loaded. Or,
Yes.
I mean, the players get in, but they're kind of honorary members, not the same. But I did think it was neat. I did see, oh, so my buddy at Berkman's Place, he said Annika was there in a green jacket, and she was like picking up glasses and had a tray of glasses and taking them to the kitchen. She was helping out. And I saw her later, I don't remember which day, but she was up near the first tee, walking around. She and her husband,
Mike.
Mike McGee, son of Jerry
Yeah.
McGee, former pro, and she had her green jacket on and she was meeting people and giving them hugs. Uh, so it's just interesting that these. That's what I've heard about the membership there. It's like one big happy family. No matter who you are, if you're walking and there's going down number one and you hit one to the left and somebody's coming down number nine, you see him, you go over, hey, Bill, I'm so and so, and they shake hands and say hi. It's just got that, they're in the most exclusive club you can imagine, and so they're all a band of brothers and sisters. They're cordial to each other. They have meals together. They play golf. They treat the caddies well, supposedly. It's just they're just normal. They're not
Yeah.
walking around like I'm the king of, the internet. I got $12 billion and, people do what I say. No, you're at Augusta, you're just another member equal to everybody else. Pine Valley's the same way. You're just so happy to be inside the gates and to be part of this special club that, you're never in a bad mood.
Yep. We're going to take a break and come back and wrap up with Gary. You're listening to Grilling at the Green on wherever you're listening to it to. On. Welcome back to Grilling at the Green. I'm JT. We got Gary Van Sickle with us today. Gary's going to stick around for a little bit for after hours because I got lots more questions. This one, though, for you as a writer and now a podcaster and all of that, who was kind of the biggest disappointment in the tournament this year for you? I don't know. There you are. Um, because you had, like we were saying, you got DeChambeau was kind of in the running for a couple days, then he crashed and Rose came up and everybody was talking about Shoffley or Akshay Bhatia. They were saying, oh, this course fits him. Didn't fit him that well, that type of thing. So, and you do this 24/7. What is there somebody that you thought just kind of fell off the training wheels there?
Well, I thought the live guys were going to do a little bit better than they did. John Rahm was probably, he didn't. I thought he learned his lesson last year, and he talked like he did, but he didn't do it. I thought because Phil had a pair of top tens on the live tour, and he's hardly cracked the top 10 in 3.5 years on live, and a 48-man fields originally, and now 54. I mean, he's I had my own live rankings that I created, and it was just based on how many guys you finished ahead of each time. And he ranked like around 40th out of the 48 or 54 guys. I mean, he's been terrible out there. But he's played better this year, and he did well there 2 3 years ago, tied for second. I thought, and he's talking a good game. I thought Phil was going to come out and really do something. And he did. He missed the cut. That's what he did. So
Yeah.
I was wrong about Phil. I thought DeChambeau the first 2 days showed that And even in round three, like, I got what it takes to win this tournament. And then on Sunday he didn't, but he did say, like, I kind of had my B game all week. It's like, well, that's a nice thing to say, I guess, if you didn't get it done. But so I'm torn between deciding, well, this guy can win it, or maybe there's some reason. I always thought you need to be an artist on these greens and be able to putt and do whatever, get it around the greens. And Bryson's really got a good short game now. His putting still looks forced, but I've said this many times, but Sergio Garcia won the Masters. Vijay Singh won the Masters. They're not great putters. They had demons. I would say I didn't think Rory would ever win it because of the same reason. You can have a great week of ball striking and good chipping and keep the ball under the hole get lucky and have a week where Scotty Scheffler doesn't go off or somebody else doesn't go crazy, and you can win a Masters even if you're not the world's best putter.
Yeah.
So Bryson got himself up there, but he just didn't hit enough quality shots to get enough easy birdies. You know, the old joke, he said it was almost a par 67 course for him, which he regrets saying now. That's probably a permanent curse from the gods of golf, by the way. But
Probably.
well, I was a little disappointed that he didn't show better on the weekend. I mean, he kind of did at first, and then, and even Sunday. I mean, going back to we were talking about how many things happened Sunday. He kind of was out of it, and then all of a sudden he knocks down 15. He's got an eagle putt, and it's like, oh, if he makes that, if he makes this putt, he's back in it. Oh no, he didn't make it.
Yeah.
A lot of guys stuck their nose in there, like, oh my gosh, and then that was it. So I would say, yeah, Phil and Rom and Bryson at the end a little bit. I mean, Scheffler, he hasn't been quite right all year, so it was hard to expect him to come out and win. But he was in the neighborhood. He was thinking about it. And the other
Yeah.
guys who haven't been, Shane Lowry is another guy I thought would have a better weekend than he did. But there was no real disaster where you said somebody, Rom, I think overall would be the guy with the highest expectation. And he just hadn't been playing well for a while and for whatever reason.
Well, and you're talking about the live guys in Kepka, um, and a couple of those guys,
If Koepka even playing the Masters, it's hard to remember.
I was just looking at the sheet here, and
I
I
don't
think
even remember seeing him. He missed the cut. He was not a factor
yeah.
whatsoever.
And the kid that everybody's been kind of hyping is Ludwig. I don't know if it's Aberg or Oberg, but
Oberg, yep.
Oberg. You know,
He was there.
he was there. He's going to be knocking on some doors.
He didn't play his best, but he's right there. And on 17, I think he hit a bad drive and he was forced to, I don't think he could get it on the green from there. But he's got about a 40-yard pitch. If he gets that up and down, or if he hits a better drive, if he birdies that hole,
Right.
he's there. But he just has to make a par there to stay in it. And he didn't hit a very good pitch. And then he hit did he three putt that for double? No, he just made a bogey there. Well, you know what? Maybe he hit the green and he three putt. I think that's what I think he hit the green, but it was way right, and he had like a 50-foot putt over the ridge, and then he ran it like 15 feet by, and then he missed that. He bogeyed 17, and that kind of put him out of it because he would have been one shot back with a par. He would have needed to birdie 18. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then 18 he just played hockey. It was a disastrous triple. So he was closer than the score looked. But yeah, there's a guy, his first two Masters, he's been right there with the chance to win it. Like, oh my gosh. And he hits it so straight. There's the next Scotty Scheffler right before our eyes. It's just you're just waiting for him to explode and go on a run and win all these tournaments.
Yeah.
When it happens, you're not going to go, I can't believe it. You're going to go, yep, here he is.
There he is. Gary, where can people find your columns and your stories and also your podcasts that you work with?
Well, I'm all over the map now. I'm at si.com infrequently. I'm at thefirstcall.com, which is a newsletter you can sign up for free. And those also appear at Substack under something or other, my name, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes I'm at New England.golf. Sometimes I'm at eSouthern.golf. And what am I leaving out? The podcast. Oh, well, I've done some stories for the-golf-show.com, which is related to the podcast that we do, which is the Golf Show 2.0, which you can find on YouTube.
You
It was a
dope.
lot easier when I just had one employer. Now I have zero employers, and I'm just writing stuff and getting paid 12 cents for a story by assorted people. So
There you
you have to
go.
look, but look for my name, and if you even are motivated that much, and then stuff will happen.
You should look for Gary's name because he's a fun writer. We're gonna get out of here. Gary and I are gonna do short after hours, but thank you for listening, Gary. Thank you for being with us. My first tournament's tomorrow, local tournament, so we'll see what happens if they have
Break
to.
your monkey, baby.
I'll break the monkey. Anyway, we'll be right back next week with another edition of Grilling at the Green. Until then, go out, play some golf, have some fun, and be kind. Welcome to Grilling at the Green After Hours. I'm JT. Today we got Gary Van Sickle with us. We've been talking about the Masters and kind of Masters, not just the players and, Rory and Justin and those guys, but also some Masters behind the scenes look, which I always find fascinating. Um, was Cliff Roberts really that big of a pain in the ass?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he was. He was, what's the word now? He was a control freak. There's a word for that now, OCD.
Yeah.
Everything had to be perfect. And he was a money guy. So, lawyer and a money guy. So he would pinch pennies. And, plus he had to because they got this club going in the middle of right after the Depression started.
Right.
So yeah, I heard there was one of the many stories on Cliff Roberts was one of the employees who worked in the clubhouse didn't forget hadn't come to work and hadn't shaved, and Cliff Roberts made him dry shave right in front of him in the office. So
Oh, geez.
yeah, it doesn't sound like fun. So I guess pretty sure that guy didn't forget to shave ever again.
Yeah, if he had any face left after that.
Oh, and what kind of razors would they have had in like 1940? I shudder to think.
Those old what they used to call them, a safety razor with the blade that you s- screwed on the bottom. My dad had one, and you opened it up and you put the
Yeah,
blade in.
yeah.
Screwed it. Those things were sharp.
Yeah, that would have been, there used to be a barber shop in the clubhouse there when I first started covering the Masters around 1980, and players would go in there, and these guys were great, So I don't know what year it was, but one of my first few Masters, it's like, well, I need to say I've been here. Maybe there's a story in the thing, and I want to say Raymond Floyd was in there getting a cut right before I got in, and this was back when I had hair. I know this seems like a far-fetched concept. But yeah, I went and got a haircut, the usual. Uh, back then, they didn't have a hair dryer blow the hair off you, but they had a towel. They whipped the stuff off. Uh, they throw a lot of talcum powder, but then they finished with they had this scalp massager, and they would run this thing over your scalp. It's like, oh my God, that was almost as good as a sex toy.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I would, if they had forget the haircut, I just want to come in for the scalp massage for 5 minutes. I would pay money for that. So that was a nice touch back in the old days. They had a barber shop, but that barber shop disappeared a long time ago as they began. I don't know. I don't know why they got rid of that, but it's one of the many places that if they still had it, the media would no longer be permitted. We're still sort of permitted in the locker room, but they're building a new one somewhere that I'm sure we won't be allowed in. They did say that this year they put in an underground parking lot, which a lot of people who watch your show probably don't realize that everything under the range there, and from the clubhouse under the range, under Washington Road, then for a couple of blocks, it's like a big underground maze of tunnels and different stuff because they don't want everybody seeing, the service vehicles, Wonder Bread coming in with buns or whatever it would be.
Right.
That would not be classy. So there's an underground service tunnel where these trucks go a couple of blocks away and they go all the way under the range to the clubhouse area and it goes up an elevator to the clubhouse with food and all that. But now the players' parking is underneath there somewhere. I don't know how they get in it. Uh, we have to take these golf cart shuttles from the press palace, as I call it, which is actually across where Berkman's Road originally was. They built this $50 million, I'm guessing, press building. I call it the press palace. It was actually off the grounds, the original grounds. It was across Berkman's Road. But they took the sign from Berkman's Road and built a new Berkman's Road another 2 blocks down. But nonetheless, they moved us off the ground. So now we need a cart ride. We used to be right next to the first fairway in the old press building. There's all so you get a cart ride there they drop you off down by the scoreboard near the sort of near the first fairway at the bottom of the hill there. But one of the things we go by an entrance for like a big tunnel. And I've never been down it, but that goes into the wonderland that they're building underneath there. And in case of nuclear attack, you would want to be probably in that tunnel somewhere because who knows what's in there. But uh, I think so. Anyways, they're adding. They had said they're adding a locker room for players and their families. So we definitely won't be media allowed there. I don't know where it'll be. And I think their long-term goal, which they haven't said yet, but I think they're going to somewhere on the grounds build housing for all the players and their families. So when they come to the Masters, they can stay right there inside the walls of Augusta, never have to go out if they don't want to, never have to leave the grounds, don't have to worry about traffic, and get everything they need. They'll probably everybody will probably have their own butler for their villa. And I don't know where they're going to build that, but I'm going to guess it's going to be toward downtown on the other side of the par three course somewhere. I don't know, but what they've done there, changing the landscape of the city near the course, is incredible because they took out a lot of houses and it's all big, you know, parking lots. But they have grass, they have trees. It's not like just a parking lot. It's scenic. And, there's one homeowner still holding on. His house is
Uh,
by itself, but and across the street they own all that. They put up stuff. Uh, they own a lot of stuff that we don't know about yet because they haven't torn it down yet. But which is smart, and they've got all
yeah,
the money in the world. If they need to do anything, they could just go to Bill Gates. He could single-handedly pay for anything.
sure.
They got a lot of members like Bill Gates, so
But
it's
there
amazing
isn't
what you can do when money is no object.
when money is no object. When you're without the changes, I mean, just given everything the way it is now, are there areas that are absolutely verboten in the clubhouse and stuff for you?
Well, yeah, we used to be able to go into the clubhouse for dining, and you could even go up on the veranda of the building, the building where the veranda is next to the
Yeah,
clubhouse. You could go up there, and media could go up there and have lunch and stuff. No, that's long gone. It That was again one of those deals where we're going to give you something while we take something away. So we used to not have hot food in the press building. We just had cold sandwiches and whatever,
yeah,
which was fine. But you could go up there, and a lot of guys, a lot of the magazine guys, Digest, they went up there every day just to be on the scene. So
sure.
they said, "Well, we're in this new press palace. You're going to have hot food all day long, blah blah blah." And then I knew like, well, the next year they're going to take away the clubhouse dining for us, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah,
And the locker room area now, I mean, those guys don't even need it. They have their own building out on the range, and that's where they change their shoes and do whatever. You're not going to really find a player in the locker room anymore. So honestly, there's no reason to go in the clubhouse. You feel out of place. I used to go there and try to catch guys, but now it's everybody in there is giving you the evil eye. So I'm still allowed in the area of the clubhouse, but there's no point. And I'm just waiting for us to be booted from out from around the tree in front of the clubhouse there. To
Yeah.
get out there and players go by and celebrities mingle. Where was I? I think I think it was maybe Thursday after the honorary starters. I was standing there by the under the tree, and there's Hale Irwin and his wife Sally, and I bumped into him. I used to write about him back when there was magazines, which were
Sure.
things which were things printed on paper that you got in the mail for people who don't know. And now he was reasonably chatty. He was happy to see somebody he knew
Oh,
and be
yeah.
recognized by somebody. So yeah, it's a good place to hang out, but I think it's just a matter of time before they move us out because they want the members to be able to use that area. We're in the way. The media is in the way not only for the Masters, but for all the majors, for all the tournaments. They've got television and everybody else is just a nuisance. And that's the
Um,
way it is. And I can't really say I blame them. We just don't have the following that television does.
sure. Was the veranda, that's where like Dan Jenkins used
Dan
to hang
Jenkins,
out.
yeah, he sat in the veranda and he had his foot soldiers go out and get him information, and then he'd go downstairs and find four players he knew, and they'd spill their guts to him, and and then he'd be funny, and that's how he got his stories. But Dan is not on the would not be on the veranda anymore if he was alive. That's over.
Well, I guess everything changes one way or another.
Everything changes. The Masters is more commercialized for the purpose of providing a better fan experience. They wanted to make shopping, they wanted to make the food and concessions and the shopping sort of a mini Disneyland for the spectator. So they needed us out of the press building because they needed that space for the golf shop. So they can, frankly, so they can sell more gnomes. That's what it's
Yeah,
for.
absolutely.
They booted
Gary,
us for the gnomes, Jeff. That's what really happened. I just realized it.
well, you've two revelations today. The
Yeah,
broke the
they
bro
upgraded their gnomes. They got rid of us and got better ones
you've
that they could sell.
we
That's what
broke a
happened.
monkey and you figured out about the gnomes today finally.
The real story behind the gnomes. That's what it was. They planned this all along about the gnomes. Definitely.
What's the one thing you always look forward to at the Masters? Is it the egg salad or pimento and cheese, or
Yeah.
is it just what?
It used to be into the 80s and into the 90s, it was the fried chicken sandwich. It was actual piece of fried chicken. They had all these ladies in town and making these fried chicken, put them on a bun, and they had a breading that was a little peppery, had a little spice to it, just a
Yeah.
small kick. You could only get them out in the course. They weren't sold anywhere up around the clubhouse because there isn't really a concession stand right by the clubhouse. Well, there's outdoors for the public, but I don't think you could get them there. You had to go out in the course down by the 11th tee to find them, and they were so popular they'd be gone by 1 o'clock. So every day, like around 11 o'clock, I'm going out to number 11 to get a couple of
Chick-
fried chicken sandwiches because they were good. And then eventually a miracle happened and we were able to get them in the media center, in the old media center. And like, wow, I had way too many fried chicken sandwiches. And then I think a new company came in when they put us in the press palace, or maybe before. It was probably before. Somebody came in and updating their food service. And somebody's looked at this and said, "You can't sell these sandwiches. It's fried chicken. They're not refrigerated. You know, you have to have fried chicken. I mean,
yeah.
should have been refrigerated. This is a health hazard." So then they replaced that fried chicken sandwich with some kind of other, I can't describe it, but a processed chicken. It didn't have the breading or anything. It's like they still have chicken sandwiches there now, but they're not fried chicken. So
Right.
food wise, there is nothing. They still have the Krispy Kreme donuts. which I every year, another guy and I have a bet. Whoever has one first pays the other guy 20, which is great because neither one of us has ever had to pay off. And like, that's all I need is incentive.
Yeah.
Problem with Krispy Kreme used to be they're so sweet. You can't have, if you have one, you can't stop at one. You have to have a second one.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
after the second one, you're like, I really could use one more. And then as soon as you finish the third one, you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't had that one. That was the one too
Yeah.
many.
And you want a nap
So it's
after.
either 0 or 3 on Krispy Kreme. So I go with 0. But uh, I used to my one of my traditions used to be, well, besides the fried chicken, there's an Arby's like 3 blocks, 4 blocks down Washington Road. I used to say the master didn't start till I get the fried chicken sandwich, but I would also go to the at Arby's and get a roast beef. And traffic is so snarled there, and I don't even know if that Arby's is open. I think it is, but I Tiger said that first year he won, he ate at Arby's. He got food from Arby's there every night. So there's that. But that tradition, I don't. It's too hard to get to that Arby's anymore. So uh, there used to be also be there was a miniature golf course down the road on Washington. I never played there, but it was Mr. Mike's Miniature Golf. I just like the name, Mr. Mike's. Right across the street from the Masters used to be when video games first came out in the early 80s. I don't know what it was called. Gap Galaxy Galaxy Games or something. But you went in there and they had all the new video games like Asteroids and Miss
Yeah.
Pac-Man. And it was right across the street. You're just thinking, I can't believe this crappy thing where 14-year-olds go to spend quarters is right across from the entrance to Augusta National. And that's long gone because Augusta owns that now. But yeah, those were all old traditions, and things bite the dust.
Is John Daly still hawking stuff out of an RV?
He usually parks his RV down at Hooters, which is a little ways down the road. I don't usually come in and go past that one. I think I went past it on my way to the course on Sunday, and I didn't see his RV. Uh, but I didn't see anybody do a story on him being there either. Usually some writer goes down and talks to him and does, "Hey, John Daly's still here doing this."
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was there this year. I didn't see. I said I drove by Sunday. I didn't see his mobile home or whatever he calls it, the Daily Mobile.
The Daily Mobile. Lots of Sharpies and beer and T-shirts, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
he's I'm sure he makes a lot of money that week
I
for
read
doing
where
nothing really, posing for pictures and signing autographs.
last year he did like 800,000, not 25, but in 24. I read a story on him a couple months ago, and
Wow.
he did like 800,000 in the course of that week with stuff.
I would do that for a week for like 50,000
Yeah. Well,
if I
yeah.
could get it.
Well, I don't see why not.
And
Gary,
but,
man.
then again, I can't because I don't have $50,000 to pay those people to get my autograph. So that's not going to work.
Okay.
That's like
Gary.
Bob Uecker in the signing bonus. Yeah, the Braves, offered me $5,000 signing bonus, and my dad said, "Well, we don't have that kind of money. We can't pay that."
All right, buddy. Congrats on your roaring second place a couple days ago there.
Greenbrier, yep.
Greenbrier, yeah. And are you and your son playing in more of those coming up?
We've got a one-day one coming up, pro scratch, which means I won't be hitting shots. So he'll be carrying. He's got a big load to carry. We get a few other pro-ams during the summer. It's like I figure I'm at the end of the line as far as being, remotely any good. So I should play as much as I can now before I turn into the old guy with the cane and all that. So we'll play a few more pro-ams. Yeah, it's fun. But what's more fun than playing golf with your son? Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Gary, thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And I always have a good time when our in our chats here. It's really good. Uh,
It's always great to be had.
it is. It is. And don't forget to break that monkey, buddy.
You've coined a new expression, and I'm going to go with that.
Okay. Well, just somewhere in the bottom in the really tiny print, say JT gave me that.
Yeah, there'll be an asterisk, footnote. I will
Yeah.
footnote my story.
There you go. Thanks, Gary.
Yep.
Appreciate it. That's going to wrap it for After Hours this week. We'll be back next week. I have no idea who with, but we will. And till then, go out, play some golf, have some fun, be kind, and enjoy the spring. Man, it's good out here.